There are many Sonic fan games out there to enjoy, with more being introduced every year via the Sage event. Yet, however great these creations are, some believe nothing will ever trump Sonic Robo Blast 2. With its elegant art style and silky smooth gameplay, it's been an avid favourite of several classic Sonic players for many, many years. So here's a reason to hit that dislike button. I'm not keen on it. Whoa, calm down. It's a skill issue on my end. I've never been able to grasp the physics of this game. Whoa, way! Ah, crumpets. I just haven't invested the time in it properly. But thanks to the retired co-founder, SSN Tales, a demo of the beloved title has been ported over to the Sega 32X using Doom Resurrection as a template. And when retro hardware is involved, it always piques my interest. And suddenly, I've reduced my schedule to give this a try. I mean, let's face it, it's not like I could have said no anyway. On screen right now is the Sega emulator, which functions perfectly. And while the website claims it works on real hardware, on the contrary, after my trials, it wasn't all cut and dry. So, an update came out halfway through the making of this episode, discarding one of my key points. Thanks. The prior version, 0.1, is basically the same, however the sound driver would malfunction with missing percussions in its music and no sound effects being played when the Mega CD was attached. With a patch being released 3 days later, which this video is based on, that bug has been resolved. And while it's not the same quality as its PC counterpart, the tunes being outputted are pretty decent, going by the 32X's standard. Starting with my Japanese Tower of Power, we're greeted with this message. What? Okay, I'm stalling. On to the only playable level in this demo, Green Flower Zone. Credit where credit's due, this is some wizardry to have this running on an add-on from late 1994. The layouts had to be altered in some fashion, most noticeably the slopes being absent, yet a lot of other content made it into the transfer. Even the underwater effects are here, which is outstanding. Now, it's not compulsory, but it's recommended to use the 6-button controller to navigate through the stage. This is to gain the ability for some camera controls. X rotates the camera right, whereas Z counters it. Y is the gas pedal to make Sonic run forward, but frankly, I just used up on the D-pad. Right, let's address the two elephants in the room. Firstly, the resolution isn't brilliant. Most people, even while using physical hardware, will undoubtedly be using digital displays, and it can be hard on the eyes after a few minutes. On CRTs, however, it complements the graphics a lot more, and ironically, I was able to stare at it longer this way. Then there's the frame rate. It's not the greatest. It can be outright sluggish at times. Or, you know, just non-existent. But if I'm being totally upfront, I didn't mind it so much. In fact, the slow pace gave me more time to react. And I won't lie, the choice to swap the speed thock for the homing attack was a great decision. For 3D Sonic Adventures, I find it essential, and it's another reason I couldn't get on with the original. Despite its inconsistent motion, I honestly had a wonderful time completing Green Flower Zone. A lot of the native power-ups are here, the older style special stages make an appearance, and I'm truly gobsmacked they programmed Eggman with his blood-coloured laser into the arena. I'm blown away! Literally, thanks Doc! If you're ever curious about how the game is performing, you can pause the game, and with the mode button from the 6-button pad, you can enable a frame counter. By repeatedly toggling mode, you can cycle through more debugging tools, with numbers that go way over my head, to this neat textureless map. It's a shame the top and bottom margins can't be removed, but what this game does have is a widescreen option. Although it has two caveats. One which we must all expect is that it's anamorphic widescreen. Simply put, the game alters the presentation, and then you, as the user, must stretch the gameplay yourself. Then it all looks to scale again in a 16:9 canvas. The second catch is the bizarre way this game achieves this effect. Most anamorphic games squish the display horizontally. This means once you widen it out, you get a more field of view. However, Robo Blast on the 32X spreads vertically, so when you stretch the display horizontally, it looks to scale, but you've gained no extra visual coverage. To tell the truth, you've lost even more because the margins are still in the way of the vertical stretch. It's a pick your poison type of thing. And there you have it, that's another crash! So the introduction states that this game is only intended for NTSC systems or specific emulators. However, my Japanese Super 32X, being an NTSC machine, stopped 3 times. So I got out the Genesis 32X, and this region mimics everything to a T, freezes and all. And if you're wondering, it didn't matter which flashcard or model of the 16-bit console I used, and the same outcome resulted, both with and without the Mega CD. Oh, and before I forget to mention, this was exclusive to the Genesis 32X, but now and then, the music would just hang, and it was more common than I hoped for, regardless of which cartridge I had flashed the ROM to. Like, almost every single tryout it broke down. This didn't happen from any other region, but I wouldn't rule it out entirely, so how about people in Europe? The developers say you may encounter a slower experience during your playthrough, but to be perfectly candid, I couldn't tell a difference. Can you tell from this footage? It all works, including the interrupts, and once during the end of the boss battle for some unexplained reason. I will point out, however, that I had some technical issues when testing on my PAL 32X. This was with the Mega EverDrive X5 or X7, where the game glitched when loading, and my Pro cartridge wouldn't even boot into the menus. After opening up the PAL 32X and tinkering around with it, I made it worse. Then confusing, where the heck is Sonic? Oh! And then eventually it would boot via the X7. My Pro still refuses to initiate, but I think it's safe to say that it's my PAL 32X that's on the fritz, and I won't dock any points away from the game. So, does Sonic Robo Blast 2 on the Sega 32X work on real hardware? Well, this is editor RHS. I'm improvising this bit. Now in the script I actually wrote yes, but has a minuscule chance of crashing. Then I forgot to try out the Genesis Model 2. Now it does its thing, it plays just fine, but it also crashes. And then during the B-roll filming... Oh my god, really? I'm trying to get some B-roll. Now, instead of using this in the bloopers, don't worry, there'll be plenty of bloopers, I had a good think overnight with that information in hand, and then the next day I tried the Sega emulator and the Ares emulator for a good solid hour on both, and neither crashed. And while we're here, I noticed that the frame rate is a lot more fluid compared to real hardware. I made sure neither emulators were overclocked. It looked pretty stock to me, but it really does go to show that maybe hardware has a little bit further to go. I realise this is just a very early alpha demo, but this is the one you wanted me to test. In fact, for giggles, this is on my Genesis Model 2 with the Genesis 32X. Now this one of the Spadniks over here has a good chance of crashing. See? I'm not making this up, it crashes pretty easily. That's going in the video. Does Sonic Robo Blast 32X version 0.1a work on real hardware? Partially. An important question for you, if you could please comment your answer below, would have this saved a 32X if released back in the day? While I believe this would have been a better opportunity for the Sega Saturn, I have to take my hat off to the team for even making this port possible on such aging hardware. I can't wait for a full version, and I truly hope this isn't another project that disappears into the mist.